I lived 300 years in a single night. This was when I was 17 and I was practicing a lot of lucid dreaming. This was a night full of centuries worth of experiences, insights, and adventures. Today, I will be providing you with some of those biggest insights I gained during that time and how it changed my whole perspective on happiness and my spiritual path. If you're new to this channel, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this on all things mystical. And before we jump into it, I'd love to hear if you had 300 years worth of adventures in a single night, what would you do first before I tell you what I did? All right, let's jump right into it. So, to give you some context on how I arrived at being able to have 300 years worth of experience in a single night, I began my lucid dreaming practice at age 12, and shortly after, at age 13, began my astral projection practice, followed by a dedicated meditation and yogic practice. So by the time I was 17, I already had fairly established experience in these practices. Now I'm currently 29 and have been fortunate enough to receive many profound lucid experiences, such as ones I have shared in this channel where I lived out my life until old age as myself, as Juliana, and then died and woke up back in this waking reality. So that was about 90 years of experiences. Now, I've also had experiences where I enter into a space of non-form, also known as the clear light mind or pure consciousness. And those experiences, I would say, are the lengthiest because they transcend time. They break time in a sense where it's all infinity. So I would say those are for sure the longest of my lucid experiences. But this one in particular was the longest experience of form in a lucid dream that I have had. And that was when I was 17. During this time, I was reading the book Extraordinary Journeys Out of the Body, put the image here, and it profoundly inspired me to dive deeper into astral projection, which resulted in me getting to the point where I was in high school and I would get home from school and take a nap. During that nap, I would astral project, and then at night when I would go back to sleep, I would also astral project. So it was twice in a day that I was practicing, and my astral travels began to become much more detailed and over time longer and longer per session, to the point that it arrived to being 300 years. And not only were they expanding in length, they were also expanding in how HD they were. There's this thing called hyper lucid dreams, where lucid dreams become more vivid than waking reality, which some lucid dreamers do get. And to give you an example, since for many people it is hard to imagine something more real than physical reality, I would be walking on the beach and feel every individual grain of sand in extreme detail. I would look in a mirror and see every pore of my skin in extreme detail. Things were more alive and vivid and vibrant compared to regular waking reality. So this is what's known as hyperlucid dreams. So these dreams were also like that, not only very lengthy, but also hyperlucid dreams. Now let's discuss the actual experience. So the majority of the experience at first was very entertainment based, things that just seemed fun. Of course, I wanted to dance on Saturn's rings and fly through the galaxies and ski down Mount Everest and visit Buddha in the light realm and things of this nature. So it involved a lot of travel, a lot of fun adventures, riding in hot air balloons, visiting the pyramids of Egypt, going to the most beautiful nature spots, and a whole lot of flying. I love flying. But as the dream progressed, I realized that these fun experiences weren't as fulfilling. I started to burn through a lot of desires, a lot of things I wanted to do, which was great for getting them out of the way. And as the experience progressed, it started to focus more on interactions with beings, talking to beings. I had reoccurring guides that I befriend, and these spirit guides would take me to various locations, now more in a form of a mission and for learning purposes instead of for entertainment, and would explain to me various things that I needed to learn, various processes, especially regarding the astral realm, how it works, how different phenomenon arise in this realm, and various techniques like that, as well as discussions with these beings. So it started off as a fun adventure, me just wildly doing all the things I wanted to do for fun, and slowly transition towards more learning base and more interaction with these astral beings base, since the funness of doing the experiences and adventures began to not be as satisfying. So this was a very big turning point for me, because at the beginning of this experience, I had so many things I wanted to do, so many ideas, so many things that sounded fun, and I was able to burn through a lot of those desires with this experience, which I would say was one of the biggest benefits. Is I got to have them run their course and see that they don't provide substantial lasting happiness. But even more valuable than experiences is progressing on the spiritual path. So I became disenchanted with just doing fun things, with just flying around, with just dancing through the cosmos, doing all this silly stuff. And I started to realize that it wasn't providing me that deep spiritual satisfaction, that perpetual happiness I was looking for. So basically, one of the biggest lessons this astral projection brought me was that experiences do not provide that deep satisfaction that I was looking for. Ultimately, I found out that true peace is not found even in the most magical experiences. It is not found in the world of form, may it be physical or astral. True perpetual happiness is found in the formless, in the spiritual path, and in enlightenment. So it really emphasized my pursuit no longer being on collecting more fun experiences and fulfilling desires, but more directly being focused on developing inner peace and inner happiness through meditation and wisdom, and truly transcending the world of form, samsara, including the astral realms. So after this intense period of astral projection, I largely stopped putting as much effort towards it and instead put all my efforts toward meditation. Naturally, for me, I would still occasionally lucid dream and astral project through this period of not focusing on it, but it wasn't as often as twice a day. It'd be a couple times a month. Randomly, it would happen in my sleep. But as the years gone by, I've gone through ebbs and flows of periods of diving deep into the astral and periods of not focusing on it as deeply. Currently, my practice is now very focused on working with astral projections and lucid dreams, but with a very different intention. Now it is not as much for going in there to collect more fun experiences, but now it is about going in there with the intention of deepening my practice and accessing the clear light mind. This I am doing with the practice of Tibetan dream yoga and the practice of Tibetan sleep yoga. So my current practice involves writing down my dreams in my dream journal every single night without exception. May they be lucid dreams, astral projections, or regular karmic dreams. I'll write them down to keep my dream recall very sharp. Now, even when dreams are just regular dreams and a regular phenomenon, I will simply observe them with equanimity, write it down just to keep my dream clarity without overanalyzing them. My main focus is when I am able to become lucid and exit my body, and once I do the following practices. First and foremost, I will often ask for any guidance from Source, from God, from the divine. If there's any message that wants to come through, I'll simply ask God, is there a message for me, and leave some space for anything that needs to arise or that I can hear to come through. Sometimes something happens, sometimes I will hear a voice, sometimes I won't hear anything. Like last night, I didn't hear anything. So I went on to the following thing, which is practicing meditation. Now, meditation is very challenging to sustain in the lucid dream world. You have to have a lot of focus so that it doesn't just turn into a regular dream or you get distracted. I would say practicing in this physical reality is much easier, and the only big distraction is your thoughts. Now, in the dream world, oftentimes when I try to meditate, someone will come and try to talk to me, or really weird things will happen to draw my attention away from the practice, but I am consistently trying. Now, the reason I do this is to actually access deep sleep in awareness, so this is considered sleep yoga. Dream yoga is using lucid dreams for spiritual practice. Sleep yoga is attempting to bring awareness into deep sleep. So when I am in a lucid dream or an astral projection, I will close my eyes and meditate in the attempt of going into deep sleep in awareness, which has been something that I have explored a handful of times and had a few successes, mostly through the help of 5-MeO-DMT and subsequent months that it allowed me to access deep sleep consciously. But I'm currently trying to access it just completely on my own, and yeah, it's a current practice. But another thing that I often do in my astral projections now is I will meet with my teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, and meditate with him. So I would say those are my three major things I do now in my astral projections, which is asking for guidance, anything that wants to come through, practicing meditation for going into deep sleep in awareness, and meditating with my teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. Lucid dreaming and astral projection can be an excellent launching pad towards deeper states of consciousness. Now, something I have found is that oftentimes the more stability and lucidity we are able to bring into waking life, the more it is reflected into deep sleep and into dreams, and vice versa. The more we can bring in awareness into those states, the more awareness is brought into waking reality. Ultimately, the goal is to be fully aware in all three states of consciousness, which are waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. So may we be lucid in all levels of consciousness. The biggest takeaway from this 300-year worth of experiences astral projection was that collecting more experiences and having fun in the world of phenomenon does not lead to ultimate perpetual happiness. Only enlightenment and resting in the clear light, going to our inner home of infinite love and awareness, is what provides that substantial happiness. If you would like to see some of my art inspired by these experiences and other mystical techniques, Check it out on my website, julianagarcesart.com, link in the description. Also, check out some of these examples of some of my artworks. I hope that they will inspire your space with light and a remembrance of the divine. Thank you so much for watching, and may all beings be happy and well.